Hey everybody, it's Wes with Fundamental Games. I'm going to try to do a solitaire playthrough of Questeros, which is actually, the solitaire game is called Hero's Quest. You can actually see the title of that within Questeros. So let's start with the beginning. This is the box. It's a magnetic fold-out box. Inside here is all kinds of components. There's a little gesture token, which is used for the multiplayer game. We're not going to need that this game, so we'll just set it aside. There's a score pad, which isn't mandatory to play the solo game, but it can help. So we're going to use this solo pad, or the score pad, using the solo chart on the left, and that'll allow us to track our different moves. The magnetic box we do not need, so I'll set that aside, get it out of sight. The game also comes with some Epic cards. Epic cards rules reference, those are for the multiplayer game, so those I'm going to set to the side. We have the rulebook, or the gods. So there are two god cards, Adonis and Necratus. Those are only used for tarot readings or for the multiplayer game, so those we are going to set aside. We have the rulebook, and inside the rulebook you will see there's the multiplayer rules and there's the Hero's Quest rules. And so I'll keep that handy just in case I want to reference it for some reason. Keep the rulebook over here. And one thing I thought I would share with you is if you do have this game and you're curious what the tarot meaning of the cards are, there is a handy QR code here, and that'll take you to my website. You can see the meaning of any card in the deck. Alright, next, the deck itself. So, a tarot deck consists of major arcana, that's what these are, and they form the quest deck for Hero's Quest. So the quest deck we are going to set up over here, and we're going to be going through those throughout the game. Now you won't be able to see everything I do if I set cards aside, just because of the gameplay space on my camera is a bit limited, but you will see the main stuff that happens in the game. But all the quest cards get stacked in sequence from, I left some cards there. All the quest cards get stacked from 1 all the way up to 21. So you start with the Warlock, go in sequence all the way up to the Dragon. Those would go here. Hero is going to be going in the center of the table. That is our lovely Goblin Hero who's trying to slay the dragon. And then these reference cards, these encounter cards, I'm going to put to the side, but I will look at them when I need to. And then this card here that comes in the box is just a shameless advertisement for one of my other board games, Die in the Dungeon, which I think is a really fun solo romp with lots and lots of dice. Alright, so we have that. I have to I had those 4 set aside for a reason. So with the rest of the cards, you would shuffle them all up with the exception of these 4 cards. Now you'll notice they were designed with the intent to play Hero's Quest. This was always meant to be a solitaire game included with the multiplayer game, and it plays completely different. So you'll see you have Hero with a sword, Hero with a wand, Hero with an orb, which is like money in this realm, and Hero with a cup. And so what we do is we are going to put the sword on the right, we're going to put the orb, which is money, on the left, we're going to put the cup, which represents Hero's health, underneath, and then we're going to put magic, which he doesn't have yet, under Hero, because Hero has not learned magic yet. So that is how we're going to start the game. Now I'm going to keep my swords just a little bit down, so we do have room for magic later on. So that is basically the formation of the initial setup. And then all of these other cards are going to get shuffled up. And you can see they're completely random. I'm not going to try to set them up in any particular order. We'll play a legitimate game here. And I don't sleeve. I like to play au naturel with my cards. So sorry for you sleevers out there that this might bother, but it's just how I play. And the deck of cards, actually I'll move the rulebook out of sight for now. I'm going to put the deck of cards here. Now if this deck ever runs out, unless one of my quest cards says otherwise, the game will come to an end and Hero will not succeed in his quest to slay the dragon. Alright, and then these are our encounter cards, like I already talked about. So I'm going to put those over here, and we'll read through the rules just so you play along. So solo setup, objective, we're going to use the 56 class cards to develop Eero as we encounter each of the epic cards in the game. And to win the game, we must defeat or deter the Necromancer, the Succubus, the Assassin, the Death Knight, the Demon, and finally, the Dragon. And you lose the game if you don't have enough health to survive a hit or if your deck runs out of cards. Alright, we actually are going to play the game. If we played with just a 1, it would be really hard. We're going to pull out the 2 and 3 of orbs, as indicated in the setup instructions. The more orbs you start with, the easier the game is. So we're kind of establishing a little bit of a handicap here. So if you want to make the game ultra hard, you could just start with the 1 of orbs, but you may have a tough time winning the game. So when you have the 2 and 3 of orbs, you put them in sequence underneath. So just like that. Now we have the 1, 2, and 3 of orbs. All right. Can we still see him? Yeah, we can still see those. Put them over here. We're good. Okay, so that is all set up. And then we separated all the cards. We put all these in place, shuffled the remaining class cards, put them face down as a deck. Place the 3 double-sided encounter cards to the right of the epic cards. That's these cards here that I talked about. And draw 5 cards to form your hand. And we're now ready to begin Eero's Quest. So we're going to draw 5 cards, and this here I'm going to put here as a reference. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'll bring it up to the camera when it matters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my opening hand. Now, you're not worried so much as the pictures. The art is fantastic to look at, and I love looking at the art, especially when I'm playing a multiplayer game, waiting for my turn or deciding what cards to use. But the main thing you want to do is sort your cards by suit, and the 4 suits are blades, cups, staves, and orbs. And we're looking to see if we have some of the lower cards. Any cards that are above 10 have a special way that they're used. They kind of add their numbers together and they're used for a special purpose. But I'll describe that as we go through the game. So throughout the game we have multiple actions that we can do before we rest each turn. And I'll describe them. So the first one here says develop. If I want to develop a card, I can take a card that's the next highest in sequence of any of the 4 suits and play the next card. So if I have the 2 of cups, I could put it on top or to the right of the 1 of cups. Same with the sword, same with the 4 of orbs, or if I did have the 1 of magic out, I could start getting 2 or higher magic. So developing is allowing you to play 1 more card into that sequence of cards. The second thing you can do is purchase. In order to purchase, you would need to rotate one of your orb cards, which will cause it to be used, and that will allow you to look at the top cards of the deck equal to the number that you're turning. So in this case 3, I could look at the top 3 cards of the deck, pick 1 to put in my hand, and put the other 2 on the bottom of the deck. So it's kind of like sifting or searching the deck. So the more that you use, the more of the deck you can sift through. But the more cards you draw, the more risk you have of actually ending the game early. So there is a risk to that. So that's the second thing you can do. The third thing you can do is forget. So what that allows you to do is you can pick any number of cards from your hand, take them out of your hand, and put them into the discard pile. So you're forgetting. You don't know what happened with those cards because you're just a silly, semi-intelligent goblin. Now that might sound, why would I want to forget? Well, that leads to our next ability, which is to learn. So once per day I can learn, which allows me to draw cards back up to have 5 cards in hand. So if I don't forget and I have 5 cards in hand, learning doesn't do me any good. In order to learn more, I have to forget some things or develop or use cards in other ways. So that's another thing that you can do each day. You can face an encounter once a day. To face an encounter, what we do is we look at the encounter card that is face up. So in this case, the Warlock. We have to read the text and see if we are able to meet that criteria or defeat that creature, one or the other, depending on what you're facing. So in this case, the Warlock says I have to put 1 to 4 cards of different types under the Warlock, then set the Warlock and those cards aside. So I could play one orb, one sword, one cup, and one stave. I don't have to play one of each, but I can play up to one of each. Put them under the warlock, and then I've then finished the warlock encounter. And so that encounter card would be set aside. And then the next day I could move on to the next encounter if I wanted to. The next thing you can do is recover. So what recover does is you are able to use cards that are higher value. So for this example, the 12, 1 plus 2 is 3. So this allows me to heal up to 3 points worth of sword. So if I had a 1 and a 2 used, I could use this card that's worth 3 to recover those 2 cards. And so the highest card you can recover is a 5 value unless you're using more than one card to do a recovery with. So that rule is probably the oddest one to learn, but it is very functional in the game. And then finally, the last thing that you can do each day is rest. And so when you rest, you're basically saying, you know what, my day is done. I've had enough goblin activity for one day. I'm moving on. And so what you have to do is take the top card of the deck and put it into the discard pile, representing that time has gone by. So the more that you rest, the more your deck runs out and game could come to an end earlier. And that is the gist of it. So you get as many turns as you want, but keeping in mind that if your health or your deck runs out, you will lose the game. And so there are some limits to how far you can get. So we're going to go through and begin a turn. And what I'll do is each time I do a phase, I'm going to check it off in this solo game here. So we're going to call this Eero, and I'll use 3 check marks per column so that the score pad lasts longer. So what am I going to do first? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to develop. So I'll put a little check mark next to develop just so I know that I did that once this day. And I'm going to take this 2 of swords and develop my combat prowess. So I now have a 1 and a 2 card available should I get into an encounter. So it doesn't do anything immediately, but it will help later in the road. So even though I have a 2 of cups, I do not have the ability to develop anymore because I've already developed today. So do I want to purchase a card? I'm going to choose not to purchase right now. I don't think I need to. The next thing I can do is forget. And I don't have to do these in sequence. I can do them in different orders. So do I want to choose to forget? I don't think so. I like the 2 and the 4. I could probably forget the 6 and the 12 because it could be a long time until I could develop those, or I might not need that one. And then I could forget these, or I could give it to the warlock. Now, the warlock might give me cards back in another way later in the game. You don't really know that the first time you play through, but once you play through it a few times, you get to know what the encounters do. So I think I am going to, you know what, I'm just going to give the warlock this 12 of swords because I don't know what else I want to do. So I'm going to do that as the encounter option. So that'll be encounter is used. I'm giving the warlock the 12 of swords, of blades, and I'm going to put that aside. So I don't do anything with that till later in the game. Now I could have given it the 2, the 4, and the 6, or the 2 of cups or the 4 of staves, but I don't want to. The low cards I value because they can help me develop. So I'm going to keep those in my hand, but I can still forget. So I'm going to forget this 6 of blades, and I will put that. You know what, I'm going to put cards that are discarded just underneath like that so you can still see what's going on. So I'm down to 2 cards and I have done my forget action. I've chosen not to do a purchase, but I am going to do a learn action now. So my learn action, however many cards I have in hand, I bring it back up to 5. So I have 2 cards, now I can draw 3 cards as I learn. I drew a 6 of staves, an 8 of cups, and a 13 of cups. Those are not very helpful to me right now, but that's okay. Then I could recover if I wanted to, but I don't want to this turn. I've got nothing to recover. I'm choosing not to do a purchase this round. So the only thing that's left for me to do is to rest. So when I rest, I must discard the top card of the deck and put it into the discard pile, regardless of what it is. And that's a pretty handy card. It's a 3 of cups. Lower value would have helped me develop. But now that I know that that 3 of cups is there, I know that I can't develop my cups any higher than 2 until something else happens in the game. I made a mistake when I set up the game. I knew I did something wrong. I was supposed to put the 1 to 10 of cups as my starting health. You're supposed to start with 10 cups, not with a 1. So I'm going to dig those out now. It's a really important part of the game. I can't believe I forgot that, but that's what happens when you're trying to film a live game. You tend to forget things that matter. So let's put that all together. I think that's all of them. And so what happens is they go in sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I need the 8 and 9, and I need the 10. I forgot the 10. Where's that 10 of cups? Come on, 10 of cups. There's the 10 of cups. All right, so these all go in a stack under the gesture. We're going to shuffle these back up, and I'll draw one more card to replace the card that I just lost there. Or I guess I'll draw 2 more cards because I should be up to 5. All right, apologize for that. But there's my 1 to 10 of health. Okay, so now I have done all of my actions for the day, and now I'm going to discard a card. I forgot the 6. I'm going to discard this at the end of the day. So now we're on to a whole new day, so all of my actions are back. I can do anything I want to now. So I can take a look at my hand. I've got some good healing cards, but I have nothing to heal right now. I have a 5 of blades, but I don't have a 3 and a 4. I have a 4 of staves, which isn't going to help me much because I don't have a 1, so I can't develop anything right now. Let's take a look at what the encounter is. One of the things that you should do when you're playing is always know what your encounter is. So I was talking about the mentor. You can give the mentor a staves card of any value. When you do, take the 1 of staves card from underneath Eero and put it above the staves location, or into the staves location. So if I want to get past the mentor, I must give her 1 of my staves. Now, if I only had a 2 or 3 of staves, I might not want to give it to her because I might really want to save those for when I develop my magic. But at this point, I do have a 6 of staves that I could give to her. What that will do is it will limit the entire game that I can never get higher than a 5 of staves, which is unfortunate, but maybe I could focus on blades instead. So that is what I could do is I could not encounter her right now, and I could try to forget and find a higher valued stave so that I can give her that, so that I don't limit my magical abilities. So in a way, you're planning for the future by what you give to her now. I'm going to play where I'm just going to give her the 6 of staves. So I'm going to do the encounter. So encounter, check. I'm giving her the 6 of staves, and it says to give to her, and I put those aside. So she's going up there. So now I have 4 cards left. I don't have anything I want to heal right now. I haven't faced any encounters. And if we look at encounters, I actually don't fight anything until I get to the Necromancer. So I think what I'm going to do is get rid of this. I'm going to forget the 13. But I think I want to keep those, so it's going to restrict how much I can do. I'm going to forget the 13 as my forget action, and then I'm going to learn. So I'm going to draw back up to 5 cards. 1, 2, so now I'm at 5 cards. I still don't have any cards I can develop with, so now I'm going to take the opportunity to use the purchase ability. So what I can do is I can use the 1, 2, or 3, or any combination of. I'm going to use the 3, and what that will do is it will let me look at the top 3 cards of the deck, and then I can put any one of them into my hand, and the other 2 must go on the bottom of the deck. So that 2 of magic, which I have learned, I have a 1 of magic now, is important. So I might really want that. I don't really need the orb. I mean, that could help me recover my 3 of orbs, but I don't think I need that right now. And the 10 of staves I wouldn't use for a long time. So I'm going to take those. Those will go on the bottom of the deck. I don't discard them. And then this 2 will go into my hand. And I haven't done a develop action yet, but even if I had, there is a caveat to purchasing where if you purchase a card that can be developed right away, you get a free develop action. But in this case, I'm going to put that there. So now I have a 2, and that wouldn't use my develop action, even though I have nothing else to develop anyway. So I've done purchase. If I had another card that I wanted to develop with, I could, but I don't. And I have nothing to recover, and so now I must go on to my rest because I have nothing else I can do. So if I rest, I'll check that off. And when I rest, I take the top card of the deck, put it into the discard pile. Then we go on to my next turn. I'm going to start off by looking to see what the Centaur wants. So the Centaur says I can give her a card of any type from one of my stacks in play, then I can search the deck and discard pile for any card of that same value to put into my hand. So what does that mean? Well, that means if I gave her a 5 of blades, I could find a 5 of any other suit. If I gave her a 4 of staves, I could get a 4 of any other suit. So right now it would be nice if I had a 3 of orbs, then I might be able to trade in for that, but I know my 3 of orbs is there, so I don't think I'm going to want to use the Centaur right now. And I just put the 4 of orbs in my discard pile when I had a rest, so that's too bad. So I really don't want to use her ability, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give her card that I'm not too worried about. I think I'm going to give her a 13 of blades, and now I can search the deck for a 13 of any suit and put it into my hand, and I don't really have a choice, I have to. So I'm going to take a 13 of orbs, if I can find that. Unless I already discarded that. No, I did not. I'm going to try to find a 13 of orbs because I think that could come in handy. And I'm going to put that into my hand. And then this gets shuffled back up. So even though I had put cards on the bottom of the deck, they are no longer at the bottom of the deck. Now I am going to use my purchase ability. So we have so I used encounter, now I'm going to use purchase. So purchase, I'm going to purchase for 1. So I just get to look at the top card of my deck and put it into my hand. Not a great win, but there it is there. And then what I'm going to do is use this 13. When I use a card like this, again, I add the 1 and the 3 because it's above 10. I add the 1 and the 3 equals 4. I can recover as a recover action right here. Recover up to 4 orbs because that's a card type. So I can recover my 3 and my 1 of orbs. So now it's like they're not even used. But then this card is removed from the game. It does not go into the discard pile, which is important because later on in the game you get to shuffle your discard pile. So I've done that. Now I think I'm going to forget next. I'm going to forget that 7. I'm going to forget that 8 because I don't need them right now. And I don't want to forget the 4, and I don't know if I want to forget the 5. I need a 3 and a 4, so you know what? I'm going to forget the 5 as well. And then I get to, so that's my forget action. And now I'm going to learn to get back up to 5 cards. Now remember, the more I dig through my deck, the greater the risk I have of losing the game. But I do want to develop, so it's a delicate balance there. Unfortunately, I didn't find any low cards that I can develop with, so despite all my digging, I'm not getting a lot of progress. And now I do have a higher stave card. That would have been nice to give the mentor or the Centaur, but I've already crossed that bridge. All right, so we've already done that. I cannot develop, so we'll dash that. And so my only option now is to rest. So the day comes to an end. I must discard the top card of my deck and move on to a new day. It's good to see what the dwarf does. The dwarf king says I can give him a blades card of any value. If it's an 11 or higher, the dwarf king becomes my ally. And an ally is a one-time use card that can be used in any combat. But he requires a blade of higher than an 11 or higher because he wants you to prove your strength to him before he joins your cause. And I don't have any cards that I can do that with right now. So I cannot do the encounter. I cannot develop. I cannot, well, I could learn. But I could forget first. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to forget those 3. New day, and I'm already forgetting stuff. So let's go on here, forget. Now I'm going to learn to draw 3 cards. Let's see what I have here. I did get a 14 of blades, so I could win the dwarf over. But before I do that, I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to purchase again. So I'm going to rotate that 3 and look at the top 3 cards of the deck and pick one of those to put into my hand. So there's a 4 of blades, and I look forward to using that at some point, but I'm going to take, yeah, I think I will take the 4 of blades, as much as I would love to give the Dwarf King the 11 instead of the 14. I don't want to lose the chance to use that 4. So I'm going to put that into my hand, those on the bottom of the deck. So now I've used my purchase. I'm going to use my encounter ability and give this wonderful 14 to the Dwarf King. So he goes away. That's the encounter. And I have nothing to recover. Well, I could recover if I wanted to. My orb. Sure, we'll do that. Spend that 3 to recover my 3 of orbs. Don't know if that's the brightest move right now, but we're doing it. And nothing I can develop. So, and I've already done my encounter, so I'm going to rest again. So rest, the day comes to an end. We lose our 12 of cups to the discard pile. And we're on to a new day. The Necromancer, when we do decide to encounter him, we must defeat him in combat. If we do, we get to search the discard pile for any card and place it into your hand. So at any point you can look at the discard pile. We can take a gander and see, is there anything in there that would be of benefit to us? The 4 of orbs could be of benefit. But nothing else right now is yelling at me that I need it. So I might not want to fight the Necromancer till I see if there's anything I want to discard first that I can get back. So you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to forget. I'm going to forget, and I'm going to discard this one and this one. Why am I doing that? Because I really want to learn more skills. So, discard those. Sad I didn't want to discard those cups because that could help me heal later, but I'm going to learn now. So I forgot, then I learned, and I did pick up a 3 of blades. So that's great. So now I could use my develop skill and at least develop my combat a little bit. I can't do 2 develops, so that 4 is stuck in my hand right now, but at least I know next turn I can develop again. So that's exciting for Eero to be able to learn some combat. I could purchase and hope to find the 3 of staves. That might help me. Or I could get into a battle. Purchase. I don't want to purchase right now. So yeah, I'm going to do with the encounter. So what happens with an encounter is the first thing that happens is the encounter, if it's a battle, which this one is, the creature gets to hit you. So it hits you for its whatever numerical value it has, the 5. So it automatically whacks me for 5 damage. So what has to happen is, now we finally get to see what the cups are used for. I have to suffer 5 damage. Now I can suffer 5 damage any way I want. I could suffer a card that's 10 to take 5 damage, but then I don't get any change, so that's not a good use of my card. So I could do a 1 and a 4, I could do a 3 and a 2, or I could just do the 5. And that might not sound like it matters, but it does matter later on, because if you can recover a 4 and you used your 5, you can't recover that 5 card, but you could recover a 3 and a 1, or so it matters in that regard. So I'm going to take 5 damage. I am going to use up the 4 and the 1 to take that 5 damage. So what I do is I rotate those sideways. I still have the rest of my health for future battles. or if I get hit again, I'll have to remember that. So it does 5 damage to me. Now I have a chance to do a counter attack. When you attack back, oh, I forgot this dwarf is my ally. So I'll put him in, this is kind of the ally section here. So I don't have to use him this combat, but I could if I wanted to. And so if you have an ally, you would use them for the value that's on their card to deal that much damage in combat. I'm not going to use the dwarf right now. I want to save him for later. But when you get into a combat, you can choose 1 sword card and 1 magic card. And if you have them in your hand, you can use 1 card that's 11 or higher as bonus damage. So I'm going to use my 3 of swords and my 2 of wands, so they become used and rotated, to do a total of 5 damage to the necromancer. If I didn't do 5 damage, the damage would be cumulative over time, so I would remember that I dealt 4 if I had done 4, but doing 5 means he's not going to hurt me again. If I didn't do 5 damage to him, he would hit me for 5 more, and then I would have to finish him off with more damage until either he dies or I die. But I want to hit him all in one shot. So now I've killed the necromancer. I'm going to put him upside down under the deck here. He's dead. But when the necromancer dies, like it says here, I have to search the discard pile for any card and put it into my hand. So I'm going to go into the discard pile and see what do I want to do. Well, I think right now, if there was a 5 of blades, that might help with my combat. So I'm going to dig that out. I think that's going to be useful. As much as I want to heal, I like the ability to build up my cards. Okay, so that was encounter. I haven't done any purchasing yet, but I don't think I want to. I already have cards I can develop in my hand, and I don't want to dig through my deck too fast. I can't recover because I don't. Well, I could recover my wand with a 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. I could recover up to 4 wands, but I'm going to choose not to do that right now. Or should I? Might help when I have to fight the necromancer. Yeah. I'll do it. So I'm going to recover my 2 of wands. So that's a recover action. Use that up. Now I just have rest and purchase left. I don't want to do either. I don't want to purchase, so I'm going to go into rest. So we do a rest. And when I rest, I must discard the top card of the deck. It's a 3 of staves. That's very sad for me because that's the magic I need. Would have been nice if that was in there when I had the necromancer. But don't fret, you do get to shuffle your discard back into your deck 1 time in the game. When you get kind of halfway through, there's a quest card that does that. So I'm on to my next turn. I'm going to do my first action as a develop. So even though I've used my 3 of blades, I'm still allowed to develop into a 4 blades. So because it's used, as long as I learned it, I still have that skill. So that's my develop action. Right now I don't feel like purchasing. The main thing I wanted is sitting right there, so I'm not going to bother purchasing. Forgetting, I think I'm going to forget this 7 because I don't think I need it right now. I can learn if I wish. What I'm going to show you here is the succubus power. You must defeat the succubus in combat. Before combat begins, you must destroy 2 random cards from your hand. So hand management could be very important at this point in the game because whatever cards she destroys aren't discarded. They're removed from the game. So if these 2 were destroyed, that would obliterate my ability to develop any further in the game. So I don't want to encounter her yet because if I were to encounter her, these 2 would be destroyed. So, but thankfully I don't have to. I can just pass another day. What I am going to do is learn. So I do have some more cards. So I get to draw up to 5. So I draw 3 cards. And if I had a card that I could develop with that I drew, I'd get to play it right away, but I don't. And recover. I don't have any orbs I want to recover. I'm going to leave it like that. I kind of like the cards that are there. We're going to rest. So when I rest, I move on to a new day. That gets discarded. And we're on to a new day. I'm going to develop. So I'm going to put that 5 there. Develop. So now if I did face the succubus, I would lose 2 random of these cards. I don't really want to lose this 4. I still hope that later in the game I can learn that. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to forget, to kind of manipulate what happens when I fight the succubus. I'm going to forget these 2 cards. Now I have 2 cards left, but I don't have to learn right now because now I'm going to go into my encounter. And as much as I don't like losing orbs, I think that's better than some of the alternatives. So I am now going to face the encounter. When I face the encounter, I must destroy 2 random cards, so those get destroyed. And then I battle her, so she also does 6 damage to me. Regardless of how strong I am, she hits me first. So I could take a 6, or I could lose probably best to lose the 6. I take 6 damage. Now I have the opportunity to attack her. So I could attack her with a 4 and a 2, or a 5 and a 1, if I want to get her in one shot, which is usually preferable. So I'm going to go with the 4 and the 2 as my attack. So that'll be a total of 6 damage, so she gets destroyed. Get her out of the way. Nothing special. I get no benefit from killing her. So it just helps me progress in the game. So now I've done my encounter. Right there. Now I have nothing to recover because I have no cards. I could draw up to 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But then I would only have 4 cards left in my deck. So if 4 more days went by, I would lose the game. So I've got to be very careful what I do there. Now the next person I'm encountering is the paladin. I have to give him a cup from my hand. Otherwise I can't pass him. So no matter what, I am going to need cards. When I get to the Valkyrie, I have to give her 2 cards. But then once I get to the Druid, you don't lose the game from discarding cards from your deck. So I have no choice but to get some cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take 4 cards and hope for the best. Take 4 cards. All right. We've already played an encounter. I could use this 11 to recover that 2. I think that would be a good idea. I could use this 11 to recover 2, but then I wouldn't have anything for the paladin. So I'm going to leave it like that. I'm not going to use my orbs. I don't want to get any more cards because the deck is almost empty. So what I'm going to do is rest, because I've already faced an encounter this round. I can't face the paladin yet. So when I rest, I discard a card. Now I'm on a new day, and I'm going to face that encounter. So again, with the paladin, give the paladin a cup from your hand. So I'm giving him this 11. It says, when I do, I can recover 1 or 2 of my cups. So not of my cup cards, just 1 or 2 cups total. So I never used my 2, so all I can recover is my 1 of cups. But better than nothing. Hero is happy to recover. The paladin has been faced. Other things I could do in my turn, I could develop. I don't want to. I could purchase. I've only got 4 cards in my deck. I don't want to. So I'm going to rest. Put that in my discard pile. And now I can face the Valkyrie on a new day. So what do I have to do to the Valkyrie? Well, it says here, give the Valkyrie 2 cards of any type from your hand. Then search your discard pile for the same types of cards to put into your hand. So I'm giving her a stave and an orb, which means I can look through my discard pile for staves or orbs, 1 stave and 1 orb. One thing I have to remember is the next card I'm facing is the Druid, and in order to defeat the Druid, I must give them 3 cards from my hand and or play area. So when I'm utilizing the Valkyrie, my gut instinct would be I should get cards to develop with, but knowing the encounters I have to face next before my deck runs out, I really should be picking cards that I don't want, and that will keep the cards that I do want in my deck for when my deck returns. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this 10 of staves, because I can take a stave, and then I can take an orb, so I'm going to take the 9 of orbs. Those are the 2 cards I'm going to take. So those go with the Valkyrie. She runs away. So that is the encounter. I could learn. Now I have to give the Druid 3 cards from my hand or play area in order to proceed. So I'm going to, well, and I can't play against the Druid right now, so what I'll do first is I'm going to recover, or not recover, sorry, I'm going to rest. When I rest, that goes into my discard pile. That's 10 of swords. Okay, now I'm going to learn. So when I learn, I get to draw up to 5 cards. I'm going to draw the last 2 cards. It says here, while the Druid is in play, you do not discard cards from the deck. Oh, so I didn't have to discard that 10 anyway. So I can actually draw the 10 and whatever the last card was. You don't discard cards when you rest, when you're the Druid, so that's good to know. But I still have to give the Druid 3 cards. So if I'd run out of cards in my deck and couldn't give the Druid 3 cards, I would lose because I couldn't go on my little sojourn into the mountains. Okay, we're going to give the Druid this 10, this 9, and this 10. So that's what the Druid gets. It gives that Druid those 3 cards. Druid goes out of the game. That's my encounter for the turn. And then we go on to the Deck of Fate. Now the Deck of Fate is special in that when you, it says here, as soon as the Deck of Fate is uncovered, end your turn, shuffle your hand, discard pile, and deck together to reform the deck and draw 5 cards. So you have no choice there. Basically the Deck of Fate automatically resolves itself and goes to the Ranger. So everything you had in the discard pile turns back into the draw pile, and it's like you went to visit the Druid, you went on this special journey to the mountain. It was a moment of enlightenment, and you realized all those things that you've been forgetting over the course of your journey may have been important. So you reflect and you come back and start to relearn what's been missing to try to encounter the next more challenging creatures, the assassin, the demon, and the dragon. So I reform my discard pile, or draw pile. I draw 5 cards, and I'm on to a whole new round with the Ranger as the next card. So we've now used up from counter 6 to 10 halfway through the game. Apologize for the long video, but I like to explain what's happening. The Ranger says, oh, wrong card. The Ranger says you can give her any card valued 11 to 14. You can use the card at any time in the game to recover a used card in your play area, then discard it. So it's like you're stashing a recovery card with her. Now I do have, that's a useful recovery card, and that's a useful recovery card. I'm going to give her this stave. So I'm on a new round. I'm going to give the Ranger this card here. I'm going to keep this visible over here so I don't forget about it. And that's going to be my encounter for this new turn. And we'll continue on. Is there anything I can develop? No. No, 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 no. Nothing I can develop. But now that my deck is newly reformed, I am going to take advantage of that and try to... you know what? First I'm going to forget before I bother trying to purchase anything. I'm going to forget the 9 of blades because I'm nowhere near there. I'm going to forget the 7 of orbs. Yeah, so we're going to discard those, and then I'm going to learn. So then I can draw 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. If any of the cards drawn could be played, I can immediately play it as a develop action. So I'm going to do that. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 orbs, which is useful. Now I could use the purchase action, but if we take a look at the assassin, you must defeat the assassin in combat, or you can bribe him. To bribe him, you can pay him 12 orbs from your unused orbs cards and destroy them. So basically I'm not going to have orbs for the rest of the game if I do that, because I'm probably going to use them all. But then I don't have to use up my swords and my staves to battle a guy that doesn't even really want to fight. So he can be persuaded to join my side as a a true assassin should. If you think of Bronn from Game of Thrones, if you can pay him more, he'll join your side. So now I already had an encounter with the Deck of Fate, and I had an encounter with the Ranger as this turn. So I can't face the assassin right now. I'm going to have to, and I can't develop unless I purchase, but I don't want to purchase, so you know what, I'm just going to rest. I discard the top card of the deck, and then we go on the next turn. Next turn I do want to face this encounter, so what I get to do is give this guy, it says I have to give him 12 orbs. I don't have enough for 12 orbs, I actually need the 5 to do that. So I'm not facing the encounter yet. I don't want to battle him. I might be able to find the 5 of orbs. Might. So I'm going to recover. So that's 4. I can recover up to 4 cups. So I'm going to recover that 4. So at least that gets another card out of my hand. I'm going to forget that 8. And I'm going to forget that 5 too, because I don't think I'm going to get that high. So I now forget, and now I'm going to learn to get 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4. I learned, and I found a card I can develop with, so I'm going to immediately develop that 6. But unfortunately I did not find a 5 of orbs, and I don't want to delay the game too long because I don't want to kill myself by running out of deck just to try to beat an assassin. So you know what, I'm going to fight the assassin the hard way. The really hard way, it looks like. Ugh, it's gonna hurt. 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I needed to get to the 5 of orbs in order to bribe him. So we're going to encounter. We're going to fight the assassin with swords and sorcery. So he's going to stab me for 12 damage first. That's the first thing that happens. So I'm going to take 10, 12 damage. That was painful. Getting stabbed in the back is not an easy thing to endure. But then I get to fight back. I'm going to use a dwarf for this battle. So I'm going to do 4. I have to do a total of 12. I'm going to do a 4 and a 5. 9 damage. The dwarf gets destroyed. The 5 gets turned. So now I've done 9 damage, but now he attacks me again. So I have to take another 12 damage. So 9 and 3 is 12 damage. This is where bribing him would have been very beneficial. Now I have to do 3 more damage to him. So I'm going to use a 2 and a 1 to do 3 more damage to him to kill the assassin. Very painful move there. Nothing else happens. I just beat the assassin. And now I have to fight a 13 next time around. Next time around I have to fight the Death Knight. If I'm dealt damage by the Death Knight, I can also take the damage. I can take the damage anywhere. It doesn't just have to be in my cups. So that's an important thing to remember. You can take the damage in orbs, which I will probably do because I'm suffering right now thanks to those 2 stabs from the assassin. But that was the encounter for this turn. I haven't I already learned this turn, I think. Yeah, I'm going to start a new day, so I'm just going to rest. That gets discarded. Oof, 4 staves. Now I'm going to learn. So we did the rest. We're on a new phase. We're going to learn. When I learn, I'm going to play that 7 of Blades. That's a good one. I'm going to recover for 3. So that's my recover action, which is right here. And I can recover a 3. So let's recover that. Nice to heal. I have a 6 and an 8 yet left, neither of which are very useful. So I'll just keep, I could forget those. I'm going to forget the 8. So that's my forget action. And then I'm going to learn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 cards left, but there's a lot of things left to encounter. I'm going to learn for 3. I know eventually you stop drawing cards, which is good, or you don't lose. Learn for 3. I get a free develop action. I'm going to develop my stave. No. Do I want to develop my stave? Yeah, why not? Develop my stave. Okay. And I haven't, that was develop, but that was a free develop. Now I can, I already recovered this turn. I don't want to stall the game too much, so I do want to face this encounter. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to face the encounter. So first thing is I take 13 damage. I'm going to suffer here. So 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus 3 is 13 damage. Because I can take damage anywhere from the Death Knight. And then I get to do 13 damage. So, well, not 13, as much damage as I can. So I can do 7 plus 3 is 10. I need to do a total of 14, so I want to make sure my math adds up. I think I want to use a 3 and the 1 for 4. And so that's 4, I only have to do 9. 7. 10. So we do 10 damage to him. He's down to 3. Now he does 13 damage back to me. So if we take a look, 8 and 5 is 13. So I suffer that. That's painful. Now I get to attack back. I'm going to use this for 2. I can use it as a bonus action to do 2 damage. And I've already done 10 to him, so I only have to do 1 more damage with a normal blade to finish him off. That gets destroyed. The Death Knight is killed. That was a very hurtful experience for Mighty Hero. You must defeat the Death Knight in combat, which I did when I was dealt damage. So Death Knight is dead. Very painful moment for me. Yeah. Oof. Okay. We're going to go on to the next round. I don't want to draw any cards right now. I'm too worried about running out of deck. So I'm just going to rest so that we can get into the next encounter. When I rest, I must discard the top card of the deck. It's a 7 of staves. And we're on to a new round. The fairies, you can give the fairies up to 4 used cards of different types from your play area. For each one given, take any card from the warlock into your hand. So the warlock, what you gave them at the beginning of the game can affect the end of the game. So it's a 3 of swords in there. So really I only have to give the fairy 1 used card if I want to get that back. So that's a pretty easy encounter to get past. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to give the warlock, I'm going to give the fairy a used 1 of orbs. So when I give her that, I get to take this and put it in my hand. So not a bad trade. So that's my encounter for the turn. I've got to fight a demon next who's going to obliterate me because I just didn't build my strength up enough. What does the demon say? You must defeat the demon in combat. You may discard a cup card per combat round from your hand to prevent its value and damage to you. So if I did have any cup cards in my hand, I could prevent damage. And that is pretty big deal, actually. If you were to look at cup cards, you actually save their entire value. So if I had a 14 cup in my hand, I would prevent 14 damage. That's a big deal. I don't have any cup cards in my hand. So you know what? I'm going to learn before I face another encounter. Oh, I have to rest first anyway. Oh, I did. So, sorry. Hard to talk and play at the same time. I'm going to learn and draw 1 card. Darn. I can use that card though. Alright. I'm going to use this Ranger's card here to recover this, because I can use that at any time in the game. And now I really don't have a choice. I will have to rest. So I run out of deck, and that would end the game if I had to draw another card. Once you get to the Order of the Magi, your deck doesn't matter anymore. So if I could defeat the demon now, I could still survive the game. But what happens is the demon's going to do 15 damage to me, and I only have 12 life left, so the demon destroys me. And that is a game of Eero's Quest. Now in this case, Eero did not win the quest, but I can promise you that with the right card play, a little bit of luck, a lot of strategy, and timing, you can win this game. Trying to bribe the assassin would have saved me 24 points of damage, which would have helped me survive against the demon. And if I had kept or had a cup card in my hand, that would have made a difference too. So when I healed myself for 3, that might not have been a good move because I could have prevented 13 damage from the demon. So if you get a chance to play this game, definitely let me know what your thoughts are on it. I always have fun trying to math and strategize it out when I play. But that is a game of Eero's Quest in Questeros. It's available now on my website, www.thefundamentalgames.com. Or if you're a retailer that's interested, or you just want to buy off a different website, Bridge Distribution, Gigamech Games also has many copies of this available. So thanks for watching. Take care.